Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who the way it was meant to be watched, in chronological order, one clip at a time, starting at the Big Bang and ending with the heat death of the universe. I'm Becca, the Matrix Archivist, and I spent the last 12 years of my life meticulously editing the entire televised Doctor Who universe into chronological order.
And I'm Mandy, and I often find myself not actually at Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, I want to say that's been like the majority of your life.
Yeah, at this point, I would say most of my time. I'm very good at not being at Heathrow Airport.
Okay, great. How often have you been at Heathrow Airport, how often have you thought you were at Heathrow Airport, but you really weren't?
Almost never. I think the one time that I did fly into England, and to this day, I don't know whether that one was Heathrow Airport. I flew into one of the airports. I was in England. I don't know which airport it was.
Absolute perfection. And also joining us is Emily Henry. Emily Henry is a DC-based singer-songwriter who performs her own personal brand of elegant electro-infused indie pop. Known for her powerful yet sweet vocals and an authentic musical instinct, she has been compared to artists such as Joni Mitchell and Sylvan Esso. Henry performs her music, among other places, on the internet, where she has developed a passionate fan base. She is currently on a 2-month house concert tour. And by currently, we mean literally currently at this moment of recording. Thank you for joining us, Emily.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. I am literally on tour. I arrived at my hotel in South Dakota, a state I've never been to, 1 hour ago.
And the first thing you thought was, let's record a podcast.
And I was like, I've got to talk about the Fifth Doctor right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe actually the first thing that she thought was, this isn't Heathrow Airport.
You're right. I pulled into this Fairfield Inn and Suites and I was like, this is not Heathrow. I was looking for Heathrow Airport. I'm like stuck on the fact that you flew to London and you don't know which airport?
Well, my partner, Ben, who has been on this podcast, they arranged the flight, and I was mostly just along for the ride, and was very tired, and I have no memory of it.
You must have been. I mean, they put big signs, at the airports.
Well, I mean, they put the signs outside of the airport, and I was inside the airport.
I'm pretty sure they're inside, too. I mean, it's not a big deal. I think we can all agree we'd rather be somewhere else besides Heathrow.
We spent 3 hours waiting for a bus, is what I remember.
That checks out. That sounds about right.
To be fair, when you're landing in an airport, the airport itself is rarely the memorable thing about your journey. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, unless it goes really poorly, and then
unless it's a particularly bad airport.
Yeah. So the fact that you can't remember what airport you were at, I think speaks volumes about it being a high quality airport, whichever airport it was.
Yeah, they had meal deals. I remember the meal deals.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So for those people in our audience who haven't figured out by now, we're talking about Time Flight today. But of course, just the parts where they're in 140 million BC.
Right.
Yeah. Which, as far as I'm aware, are the only parts. Why else would there be other parts? This seemed like a decent place to start an episode.
Honestly.
I agree.
I mean, so much of the action happens in Jurassic England. It's fine. It's mostly an episode.
That was great. I had not seen this in a while, probably since doing my initial watch through to edit it
in the wrong way.
And having to watch it in the sacrilegious order. It's an interesting one.
There's a lot going on. I was confident that I had seen Time Flight because the Fifth Doctor is one of my favorite Doctors. And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen all the Fifth Doctor episodes. And then increasingly as I watched this, I was like, it's possible I've never seen Time Flight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I kept being surprised by things I should not have been surprised by. So the twists really worked on me in this one.
That's awesome. That's
It was great.
that's
I was
the
like,
way
is
it's
that the
supposed
master?
to go.
I had a great time.
Becca's editing did kind of spoil that a little bit because it does explicitly say on there that like the master's gonna be here at some point. I wonder who it could
really
be.
funny.
And then on top of
That is
that,
true.
I also got a heads up that this was an episode with a lot of yellow face in it. I didn't know that what they meant was that it was somebody with like the racist caricature mustache, but otherwise a mud man of some kind.
And he's wearing like a kimono. It's, oh boy. I was just sort of watching with my head in my hands. And I'm like, I don't know if it's better or worse that it was the master deliberately doing a yellow face caricature.
Right.
Is that better or worse?
Well, that's how you know it's that the master's a bad guy, is that
I hope that's what they were going for, is that like
because
only
in
someone as
universe,
evil as the master.
the master. Which I have unfortunately constantly reminded how much problematic Yellowface is in classic Doctor Who.
You know, you forget until you watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is of the very problematic Yellowface, probably the least, because it's at least sort of like he looks sort of like an alien.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like they definitely are doing like a racist thing, but it's just so weird because again, I was expecting Yellowface, not a mud man,
not somebody like wearing a clay mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Which it was a great thing when he took it off. It was like a good visual. I was kind of hoping like the texture of it seemed very wet, and I almost just wanted him to kind of like dig his fingers in and just like I wanted him to gloop it off. This is a very gloopy episode overall.
A lot of gloop.
Like
a lot of gloop.
There's like the gloop that comes from the sky and just like wraps people in it and is like, we're just gonna be stuck here for a little bit now. Is it bad? No, you're just kind of stuck in the gloop for a bit.
It's just like, maybe you should lie down, and then you have to for a little bit. That's it.
Yeah. There's the gloop like falling out of his mouth and nose at that one point.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't about it.
I watched some behind the scenes clips from it because Ben gave me a bunch of their Doctor Who DVDs. And so this is the first time I was actually able to watch it on DVD and watch some of the special features.
There's behind the scenes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Next time you're in LA, let's get together and watch it.
We're doing it. I have to see those.
Yeah. But they showed the behind the scenes of that scene of the master on the ground, like all of the green ooze coming out of his nose and mouth. In that shot, it was not Anthony Ainley. They did not make the actual
I was wondering if they
actor
made him do that.
Coward.
No, it was some
or if he was like,
PA.
I trained at the academy, I would never.
And like watching the behind the scenes without like the dramatic music and like all of the other like sound effects, it just feels like I'm watching a PA be waterboarded, and it's super uncomfortable.
Oh no.
To the point where like he sits up and he's just like, oh my God, I almost drowned. Like that wasn't like,
oh my God.
He was struggling. He was struggling in the BTS.
Oof.
How many people behind the scenes have they nearly killed in water-based incidents?
The one person from Game of Thrones for sure. Do you remember this?
Wait, what? No, what happened?
Yeah, it was one of the actresses on Game of Thrones, and I don't think I've seen the episode that she's talking about because I fell off of that fairly early. But there was the scene where she got fantasy waterboarded, I guess, and she said it was like the worst thing that ever happened to her, and she's like still experiencing trauma from it.
Oh my God.
Like, oh
I
my
want to know
God.
the distinction between fantasy waterboarded and real waterboarded.
And real water. I know. I haven't seen the episode, so I couldn't tell you.
There's just a dragon also there.
It's water, but it's like sparkly this time.
I mean, I feel like part of the problem of like filming a scene where somebody's being waterboarded is you are actually waterboarding someone. Like that's just how you have to shoot it.
I understand like committing to the bit, but like, dang, you know?
Yeah.
Can CGI do this one?
That's the one thing AI is going to be good for, is
Yeah, that's what we made
creating
it for.
waterboarding scenes.
True. Honestly, though, seriously, the ones that are too dangerous. Yeah, it was gloopy. I noticed that. I also was having the reaction of like thinking about what it must have been like in the room to films. It's been a bit since I saw Classic Who, so I had forgotten all over again how it's just a bunch of people in a room with some cardboard and
Yeah.
like the scenes where they have them on a green screen and they're posing them very carefully to make it look like it's a bigger room than it is, but they are all just standing a foot from each other, you know?
Yeah. I did really like the beginning bit where they're in what they think is Heathrow Airport, and the way that they present that is, we're going to have a very bad green screen of Heathrow Airport,
Yeah.
but that's how you, like, using the bad graphics of it to kind of encapsulate, like, well, yes, it is fake.
Right.
It was like foreshadowing almost. You're like, oh no, the green screen. What's going to happen?
No, Tegan, look at the outline of your body against the background. You see that slight green tint to it. I suspect we're not really at Heathrow Airport.
She's just so desperate to finally do her job.
She was when she said, so this bit isn't in your cut, but I watched it in like the episode order.
Okay.
And the bit at the beginning, they are in Heathrow, and one of them says, "Oh, are you a stewardess?"
Jesus.
I'm so sorry. And one of the people that works at the airport says to her, "Are you a stewardess?" And she says yes with the brightest, most glowing. She's so happy to be identified as a stewardess at last, not as a time traveler.
I really like the point at the end where the doctor is just like, Tegan, like, get all these people on board. And she's like, my moment has arrived.
Passengers are your responsibility, Tegan. When you get them on board, stand by these tires.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for the delay. Your flight is now ready for boarding.
I can finally use my superior flight attendant powers.
She put on like the voice and everything. Also, the pilot was very weird at that point. He was like, okay, well, once you get everyone on, you have to stand by this wheel until we turn the engines halfway on, and then you can get on the flight.
I don't understand.
I'm pretty sure that's not what happened.
Yeah, like, was this a thing? I don't know. They were also very excited about the airplane itself. They were like, this one's a Concorde. And I was like, I'm sure that means something to airplane people. I get the feeling that's a thing.
I think that at the time this was made, that was like the best passenger airplane that existed.
I see. The fanciest airplane.
Yeah. I think it was the first plane that could break the sound barrier. Which is...
Okay.
It's also a type of grape.
True. You are completely right about that.
You know what? I see the resemblance. It makes sense.
Clearly related. On the subject of like the drama of these episodes, the doctor had one of his classic throwaway lines. Where he was like, Tegan's like, "Where are we?" And he says, "I suspect it's not a question of where, but when." And I fully expected the camera to do like a telenovela zoom in on him, and it didn't, and I was really disappointed. I was like, you should have zoomed in.
It's such a good, like, especially because that doesn't actually happen in Doctor Who a lot, or as much as you'd think. And like the moment I always think of is the Community, like, Inspector Spacetime stuff like that.
Yes. I feel like New Who does it a lot more. They do a lot more like winky winky, this one's about time travel, like lines. But Old Who does not do it that often, so I feel like it's worth lampshading.
But I think also Old Who does not do as much like time travel within a story as part of the storytelling of it. You know, like there's not a lot of timey-wiminess in Classic Who, and like I feel like Time Flight is like, you know,
I did love there was a conversation that they were having of, they introduced the concept of the TARDIS because they're stuck and they have to go wander around for I don't know how long, like an episode and a half, trying to find the TARDIS. And then they find it and they explain it, and one of the guys like, this changes so much about relative dimension, and then the doctor's like, also time. We can get to the time part later.
Yeah.
I expected him to be like, Well, fun fact, that's in the name, but he never even mentioned. We just had to know ourselves that it's in the name.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I also really like that the guy's mind was blown of like, oh my gosh, this changes everything. He says that line before he's seen the inside of the TARDIS. Like, it's
Yeah, he
just
took
like,
it on faith. He was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I heard it's bigger on the
Oh,
inside. That's why."
I'm gonna assume that's true instead of seeing things for myself. You know,
This
I'm a
guy was bugging
scientist.
me.
I just like to make assumptions about things I've never heard about or thought about.
This guy was
I
bugging me
get-
the whole time. He was so self-important, and then he had this throwaway like classist comment about the airport workers, and I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who put you
Professor
in charge?
Hater is right.
Professor
Hater.
Hater
Why has he
is
got to be such a
correct.
hater? Like,
He's
geez.
hating on the common man. He said something like about the hypnotized airport workers that this was probably the first day of real work they've done in their lives or something. And I was like, you're an academic. You sit in a chair for a living, reading books. I was so mad.
This podcast has come out anti-academia. The views and opinions held by Emily Henry are not the views of Stitches in Time. We separately hate academics, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
It's a real day's work, but he meant it like manual labor, you know?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm like, it's like you've done a lot of that. Come on.
Cannot
Calm
say
down.
shit.
You gotta calm down, Professor. I forgot his actual name is Professor Hater. Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot during this episode.
It's really funny.
Just every time they said it or I saw it in the credits, because I watched it on DVD, but I was a good girl and I skipped all the parts that weren't in the yeah.
One of the other things I noticed about this episode, this is the weirdest possible tonal shift from Adric's death. They just like, and he's even in it, and that horrible little like hallucination scene where they walk through him and he screams, and that's the last time he's ever seen again on Doctor Who.
As a person who I am watching these in the proper thing. I do not know who this man is, so they just present this boy.
Child.
And he's like, if you come over, you will kill me. And they're like, don't believe him. And then they walk over and then they kill him.
Oh my god.
And it turns out he died.
So,
and I'm sure that has no repercussions when we watch. I'll never see this boy again, as
you'll
you were
never
saying.
see this boy again. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna see him again so soon, Mandy.
Actually, y'all will see him again because of this cut.
We're gonna watch him die real soon. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So this is something that Ben told me, and sounds true because I trust their expertise on stuff. Apparently, the reason that Adric is in this episode is because in order to protect the spoiler of him dying in Earthshock, they wanted to be able to like announce that he was in the next episode, which is this episode.
Whoa.
Like in Doctor Who magazine
seems like
and
he
stuff.
would come back.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that by the time it was published, like it wouldn't spoil the fact that like, oh, why is Adric not in this show after Earthshock? What's gonna happen? Like, yeah.
That's wild. Smart. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It does make his appearance in this episode like pretty weird, but they could have just lied and been like, he's in this one and then not put him, but oh well.
Yeah, they could have done that, I guess.
Could have done that.
So maybe they're
we
not
also
very
lose
smart.
Tegan in this episode. Like everything changes for
looking at
5.
the sky.
Yeah.
And just being like a ghost creature, just waving at them.
It's my dearest
It's
loved
just
one who
the
I
end
don't
of
care to
Return of
name.
the Jedi. It's
There you
just
go.
Alec Guinness and Hayden Christensen standing together.
Superimposed Jedi. Absolutely.
So I was really wondering, because this seems like a very big departure from what we have been previously seeing. Obviously, we're still in like prehistoric time. Like it's a very gloopy era for things. We had some fish getting out of the water and stuff, and now we got gloop, and now we got gloop that comes from the sky and just kind of hovers over you like a cloud of some kind. Yeah, it's the early prehistoric era.
Yeah, like in
what
the
does
time of
this
the
have to
dinosaurs. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does this? Yeah. What does this have to do with everything? And then they do the reveal of the Master, who this is our first time seeing the Master.
True.
Oh my
Big
God.
So
deal.
it's just some guy who comes up
Just
and is
some
like,
guy.
"It's me," and I'm like, "I don't know who you are."
It's
But then
me.
they reveal that he is stuck there because where did he come from? Castration vulva.
Castration vulva.
Castration vulva, aka castrovalva.
Emily, I don't know how much of this podcast you've actually listened to.
Not enough, clearly.
Yeah.
So
that's-
we don't know much about the castration vulva. We've been given
Sure.
hints over the period of time, but we know that it's the origin of the Big Bang. It comes from the castration vulva, and it's kind of just been lurking in the shadows. And we know it's his ominous presence. Have
That's
you ever
true.
seen the movie Teeth?
No. I feel
I'm
great about my
thinking
choices,
that's
but...
kind of like the prequel to Doctor Who.
And now the Master has been revealed to be involved with this.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. It's all coming
The
together.
Master, who, despite the fact that, like, canonically, the Master in other appearances in the BBC edit clearly has shape-shifting powers and, like, perception altering powers and stuff like that, just decides, I'm gonna wear a rubber mask this whole time.
I know. Like an actual, he peels it off his own head. He's wearing a mask. He loves the theatrics. What can I say? He's all about the drama.
They wanted to do another like loop on the third moment for Mandy because that's what I'm used to seeing. Just rip off a mask. I did all the various cuts in between of like all the TARDIS people, the Doctor and companions and everyone would just be walking for a bit, and then they would cut to the Master and Yellowface just doing like a little ditty in front of an orb.
He spent a lot of time
And
with
then
just
they'd walk
himself.
a little further.
Yeah.
Like doing the act for no one. Like he's by
Right.
himself with an orb and he's still doing the thing and making the hand motions and but for who? For why?
Right. And
He
also,
just couldn't take it off.
what is that? What is he saying? What is he chanting in that? Like that seems like the
vocal
most
equivalent of Yellowface.
racist part of it.
Yes.
Is just like
This like
Yeah.
fake Asian language nonsense. Like woof. The worst. And his name is Khalid. Like, please go home. Go directly to jail.
it's a problem.
It's not great.
I also there is so much like white cis man energy in this episode of like there's the guys who are like, well, I can fly a plane, so surely I can fly this alien time machine, right? That's a thing.
That slayed me. I was like, you go for it, little man. You got this.
The extent to which the Doctor was yelling at Nessa for fucking up the TARDIS, and then the pilots were like, "Oh, actually, we fucked up the TARDIS." He was like, "Great job, y'all! Great job, brilliant."
What's he talking about, Nyssa? Have you been tampering with the TARDIS?
Of course not.
Have you any idea what would have happened if I tried to go forward with the wrong...
Doctor, I think I can explain.
You, Captain?
You see, when we were on the TARDIS, I swapped some of the parts around. I thought it might put a spanner in the works. It's a stupid idea, really.
Stupid! It was brilliant!
What a good idea you had.
I forgot the Fifth Doctor is like a little bit of a jerk. Like I forgot that he more so than 4. I feel like he's a little bit like, well, you guys should be listening to me because that's my thing is that I'm better than you guys. And like the vibe was just like slightly turned up for 5, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, but still way better than like 1 and 3 on that.
Yes.
Of like,
and
like,
6, who's like a billion times worse at that.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
He really radiates like straight guy at theater. The straight theater guy where it's like, well, everyone wants me because I'm the theater actor, but I like women. You should date me. And it's like, you're not like we have talked a lot about how I do not like the Fourth Doctor's face. I don't like looking at him. This is definitely, I'm okay looking at him, but he knows that I'm okay looking at him, and he takes that to mean, oh, I'm great, I'm amazing, and I need to bring. It's like, you are a guy.
I agree. He's simply a guy. One of my favorite of all time companions is Visler Turlow, for the reason that he kind of hates the Fifth Doctor and like never lets him live the entire time he's on the show, and it's really good.
I love that you started out this podcast being like, I love the Fifth Doctor. I'm such a Fifth Doctor fangirl.
This is coming from a place of love.
And then you're like, my favorite companion, the reason he's my favorite companion is because he fucking hates the Fifth Doctor.
I mean, have I read and written fan fiction about them kissing? Also, yes. Okay. It's absolutely.
Yeah, that's the vibe. I get it then. It was like, because if it's your favorite, you also want them to suffer.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Like, I have to give him shit because I love him. Like, that's where it comes from, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense. He's like a brother to you.
Where did your kissing fanfic fit into the chronological time? Because I would enjoy it, but I don't want to get spoiled.
Oh wow. The one I remember that I wrote took place entirely on the TARDIS, so I don't even think it falls into the timeline, so you could really read it at your leisure.
Well, it depends if the TARDIS is in flight or if it's just hanging out. Like, is the column moving up and down, or is it stationary?
Does the column go in and out?
I envisioned it moving up and down. I envisioned it in flight.
You envisioned the Fifth Doctor's head moving in concert with the center console.
That does bring up, is there a Dr. X TARDIS center console fic?
I'm sure. I mean, after the Doctor's wife, I feel like there's gotta be something.
100%. Even before that happened, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
There's gotta be.
Yeah, there's gotta be.
There's a lot of orifices on that thing.
It's the walls are all orifices. That's all they are.
Oh my god.
It's all just holes.
That should be the tagline of the whole thing. It's all just holes.
Doctor Who. It's all just holes.
Don't watch out. Some of them got teeth.
Oh no! Some of them are responsible for the Big Bang. It's not a big deal. Oh my god!
Wait, are the castration vulvas like vulvas that the Doctor has castrated throughout time and stuck them on the wall of his TARDIS?
Oh,
is that what's happening?
See, I was taking it as the vulva does the castrating.
Oh,
got it. So
that's why I've been talking about the movie Teeth, like the vagina dentata kind of thing.
Right.
At some point, we're going to watch that movie for this podcast. I think I've made enough of an argument that it fits here.
I think the lore demands it now. For the wiki. You know, you got to do it for the wiki.
I am as firmly against watching Teeth for this podcast as I think most of our fans or most of our guests have been for watching Doctor Who in this order. So
that's fair. That's completely fair. Yeah. I'm curious. Do you know how many guests have watched it in Stitches in Time order?
Oh, almost certainly none of them. I think.
I see. Not even like the homework.
A laser against his will.
The homework, yeah. The homework they've done. They've all done.
I don't mean the
homework.
whole thing because that's quite the commitment.
No, that would be insane. But like,
that's just what I signed up for.
How are you doing, Mandy? Like, are you having a good time doing this? I know you guys are incredibly early on.
I'm definitely sane.
That's good.
Definitely sane, and I understand what's going on, and I know that I am not in Heathrow Airport.
That's great. This is very promising stuff.
I just keep telling myself I'm not in Heathrow Airport.
Totally, I don't think we're in Heathrow Airport.
You're remembering your family and your loved ones and the things that matter to you, and reminding yourself that it's not Heathrow Airport where you are. Yeah. What a crazy episode to send Tegan home with.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh.
All she wants is to be at Heathrow. There's a whole episode of Heathrow being like a terrible, dangerous hallucination.
I am kind of curious when it comes to the timeline of these things, if because they think it's Heathrow Airport and then they realize, no, we are in the past, we are pre-existing, but they did have flight attendants on board a bunch of people onto a plane, and then that plane took off at the place that is Heathrow. Are they the origin of Heathrow Airport? Like Heathrow Airport happened because they did that there?
It's like their grandpa is their son or something, but with airplanes and Heathrow Airport. I maybe, you know? Where did the first airplane come from? No one knows.
It's the Grandairport paradox.
Yeah, Tegan is the original flight attendant.
Oh my gosh.
She's the first flight attendant ever.
The fabled first flight attendant of old.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
I mean, you can tell because she just so naturally wants to do it, despite it being an okay job, I guess. I don't know anyone who was like so excited to be a flight attendant.
Excited about it. Oh my god. Watching this episode, it's funny because I haven't watched Fifth Doctor episodes in kind of a while, and I feel like I feel a lot more for the lady companions in this era than I did before. I found Nyssa and Tegan like mildly annoying last time that I watched them, and this time I'm like, they're putting up with a lot. They're really just trying to make it work for themselves. They're just trying to get along.
I feel like I had a similar experience watching this, and maybe it's because I'm a girl now and I didn't used to be, and like that's maybe part of it. I don't know.
You're like, Tegan does it all in heels.
Yeah,
it's true.
I just feel like Nyssa has to be hot. She's got to be hot in that outfit, right?
That's so much.
It's a lot, and the hair is a lot. The hair looks like it takes a lot of maintenance. You know. Yeah. I also feel like Nyssa got a lot of flack back in the day for being like just pretty. And I feel like, you know what? Nyssa is pretty. And she's also contributing a lot. So be like sit down maybe.
Yeah, honestly, she's like a smart lady.
She's a smart lady.
Which I love.
She vibes with the universe. She gets intuitions. You know?
She knew not to mess up the TARDIS. Unless it's a man that does it.
She knew not to try to fly a spaceship if you've never done that before.
She knew that if she was, like, she knew that the TARDIS had to get messed up, but she knew she'd get in trouble if she was the one who did.
Also, why did she get, like, radiation poisoning when no one else, like, they bring it up of, like, oh, she's so weak, she's dying, she has radiation poisoning. Nobody else, everybody else is fine.
Yeah, it's because she's so sensitive to the vibrations of the universe or whatever. You know, she's just like more plugged in than everyone else.
So you need to be psychic to understand radiation poisoning.
Yeah, yes. That's exactly
Sounds
what
right
I'm saying.
I don't know.
Scientists have that one's like a 1-to-1, psychic and radiation actually.
It makes as much sense to me as anything that happened in like part 3 of this episode. Just like, okay, wait. So it's the master, and he's trying to harness the power of these aliens
an Ethernet cable.
who have all like morphed into one alien. The entire race is now one being, but it's also not.
But they're mad about it.
Using our psychic power, we melded into a unity.
You achieved the absorption of a whole race into a single bioplasmic body.
Yes, Doctor. In that shape, we planned to rest until the contamination had passed.
There's another I love they talk
They're
to
in a
the
hard
one
drive or
guy, and then the other guy pops up and is like, don't listen to this asshole.
I really thought
me instead.
I really thought it was going to be like one of us only tells the truth and one of us only lies kind of situation.
It would have been, yes. I loved the master just like it like lying down taking circuit boards out of the TARDIS console. His big evil plan is he gets down in there and takes out some circuit boards.
I really love how like low security that moment is. It's just like, yeah, if you can, as long as you can get through the doors of the TARDIS, you can pretty much fuck up out with anything at all.
What are you doing?
A trouble shared is a trouble doubled. I only hope the doctor knows how to put all this back.
No cloister bell, no nothing. Do whatever you want in here.
Just flop that panel open and start ripping stuff out.
This is really
allegedly one of those panels has like the heart of the TARDIS that turns Rose into a god energy, but like, so just don't pull on that one. You'll be fine.
You can have any of the other panels. It's whatever. One of them's a coffee maker.
This is really an episode with more things than it needed. I feel like it could have been about, like, they're stuck in prehistoric times.
Yep.
And the Master is there. Or there are these alien ghost things that are like not Xeraphin. They're Xeraphin with an X.
Mm-hmm.
That the Master's trying to get. They could pick what... The Master's doing too many things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they really didn't need the aliens, but they have to make as many episodes as were in this series.
Right.
Like, just throw in some weird creatures. Just throw in some creatures, and that'll give us another hour or two.
It did feel like there was a lot going on.
There was a lot of, like, the Doctor and Nyssa explaining things to the audience. Like,
yes.
Because it was just, like, there's so much to follow.
Yeah, I was really feeling for the airport workers who were like, what? And who's doing... And what does that mean? I was like, yeah, same. I don't know.
And holding up a statue and be like, oh, this must be a thing that the aliens do. And then later, like, no, that's a thing that the Master does. It's like, you really don't have to give two different reasons for something happening. Typically, when you write a story, you really only want to do one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No.
They're like, the aliens did it, but they would never have acted this way if they hadn't interacted with the Master, and he changed their intrinsic nature, and so that's why. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay. So I just met both
make
of these
them
parties,
evil.
but...
Just make them evil.
Just give them a little agency, please. Come on. Maybe they want to take over the world. You don't know.
Which, that I also don't have, and maybe this is something that will be revealed to me later when I'm watching the rest of this episode. I don't know why the Master is wearing the mask, because nobody saw him until the end. When he took off the mask, no one had seen him.
Yeah.
I am watching the episode. I watched the episode in order, and I don't think there's a reason.
He's literally just hanging out in a room by himself wearing a mask.
By himself. There's no explanation. And then he only takes it off because it gets gloopy. I think he would have left it on.
Like, is it for the aliens' sake? Because the aliens don't know what he looks like.
Is it for the airport people who would certainly be concerned if they were to meet this person?
I know what I'll do. I'll do an offensive South Asian accent.
And he's literally name-checking, like, I learned magic in Arabia. And something about Lucifer and demons. And I'm like, buddy, what are we doing? Like, you don't have to.
You ever just sit in a room by yourself and be as racist as humanly possible?
It's like you watch something about... like fortune telling and orbs, and he was like, I could do that.
I feel like the Master really revels in acting as much as Anthony Ainley does. Like it's
I absolutely agree.
He's just playing himself.
I absolutely talk about theater people. Absolutely agree. 100%. I forgot how good his outfit is. Like the incredibly high embroidered collar for no reason.
It's insane.
He looks perfect. He's perfect. I'm like, why did you even put on a mask? Your regular deal is the best.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I wrote down, just going back to the straight white man confidence, there's a moment early on where one of the captain, I think, is trying to shake the other guy out of the hallucination state. He's like he's talking about all the stuff that's happened to them, and then he like mentions Tegan, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, the sexy flight attendant, yeah." And he literally
I noticed that.
Remember, Tegan?
Yes.
Remember the Doctor? Remember the time travel? Remember the fact that we flew here and landed in prehistoric times and that insane thing where there were like alien gloops and globs taking people over and everyone was hallucinating? And like we saw Heathrow Airport, but it wasn't Heathrow Airport, and we somehow traveled back 140 million years in time? Remember that? No. Remember the sexy flight attendant? The Australian accent? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wait, yeah. Where's she? Who's she? Where's, did she say my name? Did she talk about me?
Did she say anything to you? Oh my God. I also clocked that, and I was hoping it would be a whole thing where like maybe he had a crush on her and they would like name it.
Yeah.
No! There's just this weird moment where the only thing that shakes him out of hypnosis is Tegan. The memory of Tegan. With whom he's never interacted, only seen. But she was just too cute. It was too much for the illusion.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Tegan deserved better, man. She deserved like cooler storylines and then not to get dropped off at Heathrow after her child friend died.
That's so true.
Oh boy.
Oh, poor Tegan.
Poor Tegan. Maybe there's audiobooks where they have a cool adventure where she actually gets to do something.
Yeah, I feel like the whole time that she's like her whole time with the Doctor is like, just take me back to Heathrow. But that's just like so present in all of her, like every scene she's just like, oh, why am I here? I don't understand what's happening. Like,
yes, she's so over it. She's so tired. She just wants people to talk normal, and they refuse to. And she mentions Heathrow every scene.
Yeah.
I want the Big Finish audios, but it's just her as a flight attendant and just having to deal with things of like, that person, they want too many nuts. And it's like, we're going to pass out nuts, but the person in the back has a peanut allergy. What are we going to do?
Oh my God. If they did a Big Finish audio that really heavily focused on how Tegan is a flight attendant, that would be the funniest thing in the world.
I want no paranormal things. I want
just
no aliens.
Flight-based drama.
Yeah. One time the Doctor does get on, and she's like, you better not fuck this up for me. You're gonna sit, and you're gonna be quiet, and like stuff is happening. It's like, I gotta get up. It's like, no, it is a regular flight.
The seatbelt sign is on.
Every time he tries to like spit out some science jargon at her, it's just like, listen, I have traveled with you for years of my life. This has ruined my life. I just want you to sit still for a second. Just give me the chance to do this.
Let me have this 2-hour flight, please.
She has disabled his call attendant button.
Yes. The seatbelt sign is on, but only in his aisle. Like, the pilot's like, is anyone on board a Doctor? And she like looks at him and like points, like, do not get up.
Don't.
Didn't mean that kind of
Does
Doctor.
not count.
I would listen to so much of that. I would listen to hours of that.
That's really good.
I want to ask, but maybe I'm not allowed to ask, what's up next for you in terms of like chronological, you know?
Yeah. The next thing we're watching actually is Vengeance on Varos, but not the classic series episode. We're watching the Tales of the TARDIS. Have you seen Tales of the TARDIS?
No.
Okay. A bunch of them came out like last year, and it was basically a way for them to like sort of re-release classic stories, but they like filmed these framing device episodes where, so like Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant, present day, like all like old and stuff, like meet on this remembered TARDIS thing, and then they like are like, remember the time that like I almost got turned into a bird or whatever that episode was about? And then like, yeah, and then it plays The Vengeance on Varos, and then afterwards it's like, ugh, so glad that isn't gonna happen again or whatever. Like,
they say ominous things like, oh, we're on the TARDIS games, like you've never left. It never left you. You've been here the entire time.
Oh my god. I don't know
It's pretty
anything
wild.
about this. I have
my
to check
gosh.
it out.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
look for Tales of the TARDIS. I
will.
don't know how to watch it except in the Stitches in Time edit because I was gifted some MP4s and
Amazing. I think I'm gonna find it the same way probably. So
yeah.
Befriend a pirate
Mhm,
and
mhm.
and sail the seas with them, and they can give you a little map with the
Yeah.
X to where to get it.
Mhm.
Just love to sail the seas and find MP4s in there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Treasure Island was about, right?
That is, I think, what the entire Golden Age of Pirates was about.
Okay, great.
And that's why sea
love
travel is so much better than airports.
You can never get trapped in an illusory Heathrow if you were sailing and
That's
not flying.
true.
So
That's true.
they
That's,
should have
I
thought
think,
about that.
the moral of this episode.
It's
of
the clear
podcast.
takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Maybe sail next time.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe sail next time.
Oh my gosh.
I also really like how they were like, we're a bazillion million. They actually have a real number. It's like the Jurassic period, right? Years in the past.
It's 140 million years. They say
Yeah,
it in the
140 million
episode, which is
Are
why
we're taking them at their word for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I think
so.
so.
It's so specific, and they say it several times.
Yeah.
That hasn't prevented the Doctor from being wrong.
That's true.
And
We've-
we're just making shit up because he likes to talk.
I've had to like correct the Doctor on some things with the Stitches in Time edit.
That's so freaking hilarious. Of course
Yeah.
you have.
Yeah.
Why would he be consistent? Why
Right.
would he?
Of
He
course.
doesn't have to.
Yeah.
As we have noted, this is the timeline according to our human calendar, which is based on our Christian God.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which, wouldn't be his reference point, probably.
Right. I hope not. I hope
I
that's
would
not
hope
how
not.
the
I
Time
would hope
Lords
not.
of Gallifrey measure time. Is like,
The
well, there's
Judeo-Christian
this
calendar.
there's this planet Earth where like not even most, but like a bunch of the people believe that this one guy is the son of an omnipotent being they call God, and he
it's
was
because get this, he came back to life, which is new. That's not normal.
yeah, that's not something that normally happens on their planet.
The only
Like,
time it's
Yeah.
ever happened. You know, Doctor Who really did have an opportunity. It's had an opportunity this whole time to do
to
something
make
with
the
that,
Dr. Jesus.
or to make Jesus a Time Lord. But they haven't, for the obvious reason that some people would be pretty angry.
Yeah.
But it would have been good. It would be
honestly,
good.
I feel like with RTD back at the helm, like, and he's just like, I'm throwing trans people in there. I'm throwing gay shit in. I don't care. I don't give a shit what idiots
I
say.
love it. He's
I
back
want
and
it.
he's better than ever.
I want it like a little Mavity bit. I don't want it to be an entire thing. I want like a 3-minute
Yeah.
thing.
You want
of
to
like,
throw away?
Oops,
Oh, Jesus, he's
I'm
a Time Lord.
actually Jesus.
Yes.
I fell asleep
Incredible.
in a cave and some stuff went down.
I fell asleep in a cave. People got confused. I moved a rock so I could get out, and a lot happened after that. I don't know. I had to leave.
Yeah.
It really writes itself, and I really think the only reason that has not happened is because they're worried about backlash. But they
Yeah.
should do it.
They should. They
It would be
absolutely should.
funny.
It would be so fun.
It would be, and I agree. I think it would be funnier as a Mavity bit.
Yeah.
It's going by real fast. Don't even worry about it.
Oh my god. And then people could say like, the Doctor instead of Jesus Christ. Like, you know,
Oh my god, that would be so funny.
that would be the equivalent of like sprinkling Mavity through the rest of the episodes.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. By the end of this RTD run, I want the whole language to have changed. I want all slang to be different. There's nothing but weird Doctor Who specific vernacular left. That's all I want.
I need them to be like wandering around a grocery store and I've got a dog is playing on the speakers in the background.
Oh
Best
my god.
song ever
Oh my
written.
god.
It doesn't even it can be like a weird jingle that they're playing now.
Yes.
Or the
perfect.
early 2000s kind of like DreamWorks, they've done a cover of it.
Ooh, okay.
So they get
Oh,
like
yeah.
a little alt rock band.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Or like at the end of like all those 90s Disney movies where they'd be like, we're going to do the Beauty and the Beast song, but like as an R&B, like,
Yes,
slow
with
jam,
a 14-year-old
like-
singer. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, sounds incredible.
Yeah, most of my familiarity with Beatles songs does come from that era of like DreamWorks doing stuff, which also means that I don't know the difference between what is and isn't a Beatles song. I just know if there was a bad alt rock cover at the end of a movie, I assume that it was a Beatles song.
No! Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This goes deep.
Yeah.
I need to fix this for you. There's a lot of Beatles songs that you should know about.
I've been really good at yes-anding this entire time.
Honestly, that's all you really need. Like, that's...
Honestly, yeah, you're killing
As,
it.
as the
Make it till
Beatles
you
once
make it.
sang, all you need is yes and.
As someone who didn't know anything about the Beatles, like everyone makes the joke of like, oh, Ringo was the worst. I didn't know what the other one, George Harrison's name, until like 4 years ago.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That's
I
fair.
mean, I knew his name before that, but I think he was the last Beatle whose name I knew. Like, I think that's just how it worked.
That sounds about right. My dad is a guitar player, so I know who all of the Beatles are and all of their
Oh,
songs.
yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. You're a professional musician. I guess it makes sense that you know who the Beatles are.
Yeah. Although, to be fair to me, my first interaction with Ringo Starr was as the conductor on Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah, and then later I was like, that's the guy from Thomas the Tank Engine.
Did you know the guy from Thomas the Tank Engine was also in a band?
Did you know he plays drums?
Oh my
Crazy.
gosh. I mean, plays drums is a little bit generous, but
Listen, he did his best, and he helped all those toy trains get where they were going, and that's all that I needed from him.
does anybody have anything else to say about Time Flight? Because if not,
Not specifically, although I do want to say I enjoyed, once again, remembering how fun it is to watch actors try not to react to the full-on cricket uniform that the Fifth Doctor is wearing in every single scene of his entire run. And they have to react to him like, this is a weird guy, never seen this guy before, what's he doing here? That's not a weird outfit, this is okay.
it's not weird to wear a vegetable on your lapel. That's
No.
just a normal.
That's not what
thing
makes
to
this
do.
weird. It's the general vibe, but the outfit is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the most normal part of him.
It was especially noticeable in an airport where everybody's wearing a uniform.
Yeah, it
Oh my
did
God.
become very difficult to tell. They had a lot of pilots. They
lot of
really just
pilots.
needed one pilot. They
I
didn't
agree.
need that many pilots.
I guess one of them was like this guy. He's like the air traffic guy.
Yeah,
I just did like flare symbols with my hand. I know what jobs are. It's okay.
Like, they existed only so that they could all have that scene together of like, could we take off from this place? Oh, but we need this, but we could dig a hole and then that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of you said earlier, you are correct. There was a lot in this episode of like the Doctor and Nyssa explaining things while people from an airport look confused and all have the same job.
Yeah.
Tough stuff.
Oh my gosh.
That's Doctor Who.
That's
That's
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Everyone at an airport tries to understand the Doctor and Nyssa
And generally fits.
and fails completely. I really did like the turn that the lead pilot, the head pilot, the captain. He's called the captain. My God.
There's the pilot, and then there's the first assistant pilot, and the second assistant pilot,
Right.
and the second assistant
And
pilot.
there's like the dowager pilot if like
You
their
have the
spouse has passed
associate-
away. Yeah,
Associate
absolutely.
pilot,
Uh-huh.
senior assistant pilot.
Yeah, co-executive pilot. Yeah.
There's pilot emeritus, if they're done with the job, but they're
Mhm.
still, they can still get on the plane whenever they want.
Yeah.
Anyway, I enjoyed watching him make the turn that so many of these like guest stars who aren't companions make, which is like they go from not knowing anything about the Doctor and being vaguely suspicious to being like, that's my best friend, and if you say anything about him, I'll kick your ass. And like in like 2 seconds.
I will have you know, I have known this man for over 90 minutes, and I will fight you to the death.
Like somebody says something like, "Are we sure that the Doctor knows what he's doing?" And the captain's like, "How dare you?"
Can we cut together that Brooklyn Nine-Nine meme of the?
Yes, I've had the Doctor for. I've only had the Doctor for 1 day, but if anything happens to him, I'll kill everyone in this room and then myself. That's exactly what it is. Every single person who meets the Doctor. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
He really is just a small puppy, you know, who ends up in a lot of situations.
Now I'm really hoping that at some point the Doctor regenerates into a puppy.
That's like when they make the cartoon version of Doctor Who that is for the like 3 to 9 crowd, you know, like that happens. Absolutely. That's the plot line.
Though I feel like they're going to have a very ominous, like, sight gag where he turns into a puppy and is a puppy for a little bit. And it was like, well, I can't be a puppy. And then just goes off into another corner and comes back and is a person again. It's like, oh, that puppy hanged itself.
Yeah, like you don't worry about how regeneration works in the 3 to 9-year-old version of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
No, this is the this is the equivalent of like the Back to the Future animated series, you know,
but
where
it's like
just
it's how Gen Alpha gets their conspiracy theories where they get to talk about like, oh, the Rugrats, all the babies were dead. That's their version of it.
They need something to do, you know. They need a little something to chew on.
I think honestly, it's just Scooby-Doo, but they call Scooby-Doo the Doctor. And then they just travel around in a van solving mysteries. But the van is painted like a police box.
Oh my God. It's perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
100%. Chameleon is also there.
Chameleon is all of the bad guys in Scooby-Doo. They're like, let's find out who old man Squithers is really. Oh, it's Chameleon again.
Chameleon, what are you doing in there?
Sorry, I was forced to by the master.
Also, okay, it's Romana 1, isn't it? That can, according to that one episode of the Fourth Doctor, can regenerate like whenever she feels like it. Do you remember this?
Yeah. It was Romana 1 regenerating into Romana 2, and she like
tried on some looks before she chose. Romana 2.
Yeah.
I mean, are we sure that this is like by doing it, I can do it whenever I want? Of like, I got a gun.
We didn't see it. Like she went into a room
I
and
can
then
kill
she came
myself
out of the room.
whenever I feel like it.
So it's possible she was just like taking a real quick dram of poison every single time.
Yeah, it's like I got this little bottle of pills and I got some boozy, and if I don't like my look, we'll see what happens.
I really like that idea because that means that technically, if Romana 1 is Romana 1, then Romana 2 is actually like Romana 5, I think.
Right. Yes. Romana, who even knows how long it took her to get there?
Just like, oh gosh. Yeah, and like imagining like how many looks did she go through before she landed on the Romana 1 look? Like, maybe,
wow, good point.
Maybe she's
the real sociopath all along, and the master was never the big bad. Maybe it was always Romana.
Like, she's gone like 3 in, and you do that thing where you're trying on different looks and you see it, and then it's the first one, the thing that you put on the first
one the whole time.
She just needed a belt.
Right. Maybe it was Romana 1 the whole time, but with a belt, you know?
Yeah. It was just like, I like this face, but the outfit, so I'm like, gonna change a face to like match my outfit. And then I was like, no, I just needed to wear a lacy white feathered boa nightgown thing.
Right. That was really important. It changed everything for me. Oh my gosh.
Emily, I also want to reveal to our listeners that you were really the first fan of Stitches in Time that I ever had. Yeah.
Wait, I am?
Yeah. It was, I don't know, like I told people, like I told, Laser about it when we first started dating, and he was like, that's great, darling, whatever. And then like, And then
I was
met...
over the moon to hear about this project.
I was so excited.
I've told so many people about this project. I talk about it on live streams. I'm like, okay, everybody, you got to go to stitchesandtie.me and you'll see.
Well, thank you for being my biggest fan.
Oh my gosh, it's my honor.
It's lovely.
It's my honor. Thank you for inviting me to be on here. Nothing brings me more joy in this life than just yelling about Doctor Who for a long time. So this is perfect.
Well, we'll have to have you back on again at
Please.
some point.
I
Yeah.
would really love that. And seriously, we gotta let the people know. Everybody needs to watch Doctor Who this way.
Maybe
Yeah.
next time we'll have you and you'll be in North Dakota. Can you get
That
a
could
different
be.
Dakota for? Or
Could
South
be.
Carolina, change it up.
Oh yeah,
only
be
stick
in a bunch of the
South.
Souths. Or
Very
just
true.
a bunch of relative, be in West Virginia one time and
Sure.
yeah.
Montana. What's another one? Louisiana.
East
There's
Kentucky.
other ones. Great. Never been there either. I could. Who knows where I'll be next time?
Yeah.
It could be Jurassic England.
It could be Heathrow Airport.
It could be Heathrow. Guys, the next time I come on, I have to be at Heathrow Airport, I think.
Yeah. We will spend all of the money that we're making doing this podcast. And we're making a lot of money because you're
making those big podcast dollars.
Yeah.
Fly you to the airport, you record, and then you
And then I
immediately
go
get on
home.
another flight back.
I don't even have to go through customs. I could just stay.
You
It's
stay on the
perfect.
plane. Just
Yeah.
see what happens.
I'll just be like, oh, no, I'm good, guys. Actually, I'm going to go back with you. So I'm just going to stay here.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Great. Emily Henry, where can people find you on the internet and elsewhere?
You can find me on the internet at emilyhenrymusic.com. I live stream my music 3 times a week on twitch.tv/emilyhenrymusic. And my music is on streaming, any platform you like. I'm on them all.
Great. This comes out on August 28th, so I don't know if you'll be done. Are you done with your tour by then?
I will not quite be done with tour. I think I will have
Oh.
one show left at that point.
Okay, where's that show?
That show is in Owings, Maryland. on the
Owings,
31st.
Maryland is one of the best places. It's where most of the Stitches in Time fans are, so I'm really glad you were able to plug that.
They'll be owing you a great reception
Hey.
for your wonderful music.
Hey!
Incredible. Absolutely, yes.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you for
We'll
having me.
Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Stitches in Time. Music by Becca the Matrix Archivist. Art by Mandy Akenda. Logo by Ben Patton. Did you know you can listen to this podcast with your eyeballs? Subscribe to us on YouTube.
I
So
just
you-
realized that I should probably be recording the audio at this point.
Oh yeah, if you want
Yeah.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for having just fun hangout times with friends, but also recording is not.
You can record the podcast for your podcast if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concentrate! It's the only way to fight it and find out where we really are.
But we're at Heathrow.
Oh, you think you're at Heathrow? So did I. Well, almost up to a moment ago.
One of our cats, his favorite place to sit is right behind the monitor. Partly because I have my desk by the window, and so that then he can look out the window and stuff, but he likes to just lay by it. But occasionally does just kick the monitor so it suddenly goes much closer to me. So if that happens, it's
I
because
see.
there's a man there.
Go back, Tegan, or you will destroy me.
It's only imagination. It's the only power Khalid has left to stop us.
If you advance, you will kill me, Nyssa.
I've got another plane.
Oh, no, not a plane.
It's past me, so it's going to be Becca next.
Yeah. I've noticed the moment that it's loudest above me is when Mandy starts talking, which is really wild.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
I don't understand.
No, Doctor, you never do understand. You never do.
I have a plane now. Hang on.
Oh, no.
Fucking planes. It's because we're doing an airplane episode of the podcast.
This is why.
That's why we're having.
This is why.